Hi, how you doing? Alright, good night. I haven't done a video in a minute. And I figure I would just do one to mark where I'm at. I was just sitting here in bed. I listened to an Adam Pants video, and I was just thinking, and I started thinking back to this one Sunday. I was in Sunday school, a children's church, before you actually get to like real church, and we're having like donuts and orange juice, and the lady is coming in and she brings the kids. All the kids are in there, and we're reading a story, and we're coloring books and whatever else. And she tells us this story about how we're so special to God that He knows exactly how many hairs we have on our head, and exactly every single thing about us, every little freckle, every indent, everything. And I was like, wow. I must have been like 6 years old, 7 years old. And I just was like so overwhelmed at how important I was to God. It didn't creep me out or anything, because you're like 6 years old or 7 years old, and you're like, wow, God thinks I'm that important, that He knows how many hairs I have on my head. And I felt so empowered. Not like, oh, I'm going to go take over the world, but like, wow, I'm untouchable, and I'm so important, and I'm so loved. Untouchable meaning that I had somebody, who's bigger than God? So I was like, wow, I got like the biggest person in the whole freaking world on my side, and He knows how many hairs we have on our head. So I was thinking, when does it go from being that, that's why it says you have to be like a child again. God knows all that stuff about you still. Like all your sins and all this stuff. God knows it already. He was there with you when you were doing all the fucked up shit. It's just something about that. Like, I guess, all this like guilt and shame and all this other stuff that's been programmed that you have to feel, comes in from us making ourselves feel like we're not good enough. And all this stuff from the church talking about how, all this programming. But, yeah. So, I guess I just wanted to document how I remembered that. And then I was just like, you really kind of, especially when you go through like puberty, and then you go through all these like changes, and then somewhere along the line you think that you can hide things from God, and you're like, oh, I really shouldn't be doing this, and you think, it's not about even not going to church or whatever. It's just that you lose this whole upfront thing with Christ and God, and you're like, somewhere along the line, a screen got put between you and your connection with God within, and it's always been there. And hearing Him talk about, I just brought up something, and I just wanted to bring it up because it's just, I remember having that connection before, and I remember feeling, shielded, and I remember feeling that oneness, and it came naturally as a kid, and I didn't have to work on it. I didn't have to recite things. I didn't even start reading the Bible yet. I was like 6 or 7. I didn't start reading the Bible yet. I just had that feeling when she said that. It was like, wow. God knows. And I was like, God knows me. And I don't have to, I have someone I could talk to. And it was like, I wanted to get one of those Jesus is my homeboy shirts, and you know what I mean? But somewhere along growing up and losing all of that, hardships of life and whatever, you build this whole wall up. Each person does it. The world does it for you. All these things that keep you away from you, the real you. That's why it's so important to build back your own bridge to God within yourself, and go through your closets and shit. It's crazy because God already knows what's under there anyway. You just have to admit it to yourself. And it was just really nice to go back to that spot. I just blabbed for like 5 minutes. But it was really nice to go back to feeling that connection to where it's like, wow. Yeah, and it's the funniest thing too, because people lie to God every day, lie to ourselves every day. Really, there's no point. I think we've just been so used to being dishonest that we don't even know when we're lying anymore. We're so used to putting on the everything is okay, we're okay, thinking that it has to be this way. Thinking that our relationship has to be like this. We have to follow this regimen. We have to pray for umpteen hours a day. We have to recite these magic words. We have to, oh man, all this nonsense that's been brainwashed into society, the consciousness of religion has to be this and religion has to be that. You have to get your own connection back. Have a good night.